Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching me from. This still remains the Diary of a Broken Man, where we discuss economic, political, and the social issues bothering Nigeria as a country. Today, we look at ethnic and the religious dynamics in Nigeria, and we look at the North-Side divide, how education, religion, and the resource control is being managed in Nigeria. So first of all, religious and cultural splits. Northern Nigeria is predominantly Muslim, and it is influenced by the Sokoto Caliphate legacy, which with 12 states implementing Sharia law. The South is predominantly Christian and African traditional religion or animist, with significant Muslim minority, around the Southwest, Yoruba communities precisely. Then educationally, we have disparities in education because the South's earlier exposure to missionary education led to higher literacy and economic opportunities. People from Southeast, from Southwest, were focused in learning, education, even prior to our independence. Many of them traveled outside Nigeria for education, got degrees, On the contrary, not that people from the north didn't go. After all, we have people like SL Akintoladem, we have people like Afawa Belawa, who studied in, I think, England, and so many of them. It doesn't mean that the north doesn't study or that they are not educated, but the majority, when we talk about education, we're talking about the majority, not the few people who are educated. So while the north prioritize the Islamic education, contributing to development gaps in Nigeria, northern states like Kano and Sokoto lag in literacy compared to southern states like Anambra, Imo, Lagos, and Ibadan. So resource tensions in Nigeria, this is what we talk about next. Now, the whole of oil that is gotten in Nigeria is mostly from the south, especially the Niger Delta oil-rich region from the south. 90% of Nigerians' exports come from that area. Yet, revenues is centrally managed, sparking demand for local control. It's still very funny how people drink beer, in the south, and then the resources are shared even to the north that would destroy, using Hisba Allah, destroy creators of drink, without qualms. But when the resources and the tax from, the same drinks drank in the north are brought, they shared and they use it to, I find Nigeria very, very, very funny sometimes. We need to start telling ourselves the truth as a country. We can't be lying to ourselves under the pretext of unity and one Nigeria. So many people feel like the Nigeria belongs to them. They do anything they like and they say anything they like and nothing happens. Then when somebody from some other part of the country says a little, 1% of the 100 the other person says, is either clamp down on, try to silence and so many other things. So, but that's not the topic for today. Now, northern reliance on agriculture exacerbates economic inequalities and the inequities. And then the federal allocation formula, which we call the prevention principle, remains contentious. This quota system where I find it funny anyway, with southern groups like southern movements like movements for the emancipation of Niger Delta, the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, MASOB, and so many other groups, Niger Delta militants, and so many other people advocating for, resource equity or even a division of the country. But that's because of the inequality in the resource management of Nigeria. People from the south know what are taken away from their land and what they get in return, compared to people who may not have so much of resources, but still they get the most. It's very painful for a country practicing federal system. Now, communal clashes farmer-herder conflicts. So let's talk about the root cause. The root cause is the competition over land and the water, intensified by climatic change. This desertification in the Sahel region, and population growth. Fulani Muslim herders migrate southward, clashing with Christian and African traditional farmers. Example, we see it in Berom, Plateau State, where Fulani, they try to take over a land that does not belong to them, and then try to kill the people who own the land. This mentality of I own everything in the countries. I wonder. Another thing is ethno-religious dimension. Framed as Muslim versus Christian, though primarily a resource struggle. We make everything religious in Nigeria. Christian versus African traditionalists versus Christian, and then under the whole pretext, so many things are going on. So under the pretext of Christian, Muslim, blah blah blah, so the government solutions like Ruga are being brought in, and thanks to the people who were awake, Nigerian people who were awake when this idea of Ruga came in. You want to own lands, and from where you come to somebody's ancestral land and you want to own land, from where? How do you get the land? Nigeria just seems funny to me as an individual. I don't know about others, but as an individual, the dichotomy, the inconsistency in doing things baffles me. So, but the Ruga settlement faced a backlash in Nigeria, perceived as favoring the northern interests, which is true. I can't lie about that. Escalations. Conflicts are compounded by banditry and the cattle rustling, particularly in the Middle Belt, Benue State and the Plateau, a religiously mixed zone. So over 3,600 deaths were reported in 2021 by ACLED data, highlighting systematic insecurity. This area of the country has suffered. So many people have died, especially the Christians. And we need to speak more about this. Why this? It's painful. It's painful. Now, the national integration efforts, which started with the 1970s after the Civil War, with NYSC, that started after the Civil War, was established, to foster unity in Nigeria. Graduates are deployed nationwide, for a year. It was an enjoyable experience where you get to meet different people from different cultural backgrounds, from different religious backgrounds, with different mindsets, and you live together. And sometimes you find out you make your very, very best friends there, and your business partners may come from there too. It's a very sweet experience, and it makes you have people around the country. But there is a problem. While we praise it for cultural exchange, the challenge is insecurity. We saw what happened during election. Corpers were targeted and killed just because during elections the youth corpers are sent to help in the electoral process. Then, because some people want to rig election by all means, they target the corpers and kill them. Why? So and then it shows the ethnic biases also, the way the number, the amount of the percentage of coppers that the data shows that a greater percentage of the coppers killed are from a particular region, or some particular regions, not some. Then supplementary measures, the federal character, ensures regional representation in government. Still, the quota system. Why would you choose quota over merit? You have two doctors. One is, knows what he's doing. The other is from a particular region. Because you want to make up the quota system, you take the person with lesser qualification. Why? In a country that wants to grow. Then the next one is media and education. Civic education promotes pluralism. Yet social media amplifies division, especially the way we saw it since 2023 election. Throughout 2023, 2024, it was rife with bigotry and things like that. Now, in conclusion, Nigeria's ethnic and religious dynamics are deeply intertwined with historical, economic, and environmental factors. While initiatives like NYSC aim to bridge divides, enduring challenges, resource inequity, climate pressures, and politicized identity require holistic policies. We need to work on these things. This quota system and this, quota over merit, and the way, we politicize everything, and then ethnic politics, ethno-politics we do in Nigeria. No, we need to address the root causes and decentralize resource management. I still stand for, regional government. Yeah, everybody, let the southeast manage there, let the southwest manage, let the north manage there, the central. Let everybody manage their resources, and then we develop at our own pace. It breeds competition, and it stops relaxation, because this center managing everything makes the country, almost everybody's just relaxed, lagging, waiting for something to happen, waiting for a particular miracle to happen in Nigeria, and that miracle is not coming forth. We've seen it. This is 65 years and the miracle is not happening. We need to go back to regional government. Let each side manage their resources. Personally, I stand for, confederation. That is what I stand for. After all, UK is practicing confederation. The United States, though a federal system, but still is a form of a regional system where each state manage their resources and pay tax to the center. And then you see their development and how they are, the superpower of the world. I hope we learn. Let me know in the comment section what you think about these issues, and then how you think we can manage the use of this. Remember to subscribe, share, and comment. See you on the next one. Cheers.